Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the first of 4 parts for that trip down memory lane I told you about in my last video. And in it, I'm going to be reviewing, look familiar? It's the Jurassic Park novel by Michael Crighton, R.I.P. As you can tell, I've kind of had it for a long time. It's pretty beat up, but not as much as the Lost World novel. One of my dogs chewed through the spine, and now it's just basically a pile of paper. And my thoughts on this: if you're into science fiction, this book is definitely for you. For me, it was great to go back and see where all the Jurassic Park stuff started. And hang on, I'm trying to find it. I'm gonna read to you guys my favorite part in this novel, where Nedry dies. It was coming closer, stumbling over tree roots in the darkness, clawing his way past dripping branches. He saw the Jeep ahead, and the light shining around the vertical wall of the barrier made him feel better. In a moment, he'd be in the car, and then he'd get the hell out of there. He scrambled around the barrier, and then he froze. The animal was already there. But it wasn't close. The dinosaur stood 40 feet away, at the edge of the illumination from the headlamps. Nedry hadn't taken the tour, so he hadn't seen the different types of dinosaurs, but this one was strange looking. The 10-foot-tall body was yellow with black spots, and along the head ran a pair of red V-shaped crests. The dinosaur didn't move, but again gave its soft hooting cry. Nedry waited to see if it would attack. It didn't. Perhaps the headlights from the Jeep frightened it, forcing it to keep its distance, like a fire. The dinosaur stared at him and then snapped its head in a single swift motion. Nedry felt something smack wetly against his chest. He looked down and saw a dripping glob of foam on his rain-soaked shirt. He touched it curiously, not comprehending. It was spit. The dinosaur had spit on him. It was creepy, he thought. He looked back at the dinosaur and saw the head snap again, and immediately felt another wet smack against his neck, just above the shirt collar. He wiped it away with his hand. Jesus, it was disgusting. The skin of his neck was already starting to tingle and burn, and his hand was tingling too. It was almost like he had been touched with acid. Nedry opened the car door, glancing back at the dinosaur to make sure it wasn't going to attack, and felt a sudden excruciating pain in his eyes, stabbing like spikes into the back of his skull. And he squeezed his eyes shut and gasped with the intensity of it, and threw up his hands to cover his eyes, and he felt the slippery foam trickle down both sides of his nose. Spit. The dinosaur had spit in his eyes. Even as he realized it, the pain overwhelmed him, and he dropped to his knees, disoriented, wheezing. He collapsed onto his side, his cheek pressed to the wet ground, his breath coming in thin whistles through the constant, ever-screaming pain that caused flashing spots of light to appear behind his tightly shut eyelids. The earth shook beneath him, and Nedry knew the dinosaur was moving. He could hear its soft hooting cry. Despite the pain, he forced his eyes open and still saw nothing but flashing spots against black. Slowly the realization came to him. He was blind. The hooting was louder as Nedry scrambled to his feet and staggered back against the side panel of the car as a wave of nausea and dizziness swept over him. The dinosaur was close now. He could feel it coming close. He was dimly aware of its snorting breath, but he couldn't see. He couldn't see anything, and his terror was extreme. He stretched out his hands, waving them wildly in the air to ward off the attack he knew was coming. And then there was a new searing pain, like a fiery knife in his belly. And Nedry stumbled, reaching blindly down to touch the ragged edge of his shirt, and then a thick, slippery mass that was surprisingly warm, and with horror, he suddenly knew he was holding his own intestines in his hands. The dinosaur had torn him open. His guts had fallen out. Nedry fell to the ground and landed on something scaly and cold. It was the animal's foot. And then there was new pain on both sides of his head. The pain grew worse. As he was lifted to his feet, he knew the dinosaur had his head in its jaws. And the horror of that realization was followed by a final wish that would all be ended soon. Yeah, that was kind of disgusting. If you didn't know by now, that was the chapter where Nedry dies. I gotta say, story-wise, this book is brilliant. There's nothing better than it. I would bring it to school every day, reading it from start to finish. Even though it was crazy violent for a kid my age. And if you want to know why it was disgusting, Michael Crighton, got a picture of him here. He worked as a doctor before he got into writing, so he knew how to add in all the right details. But sometimes I wish he didn't. Nedry's death is probably my favorite scene in the whole book universe. Apart from the two Carnotaurs attacking the Lost World village. That was in the Lost World novel. Apart from that, it's my favorite scene. The only thing I can really think of that I don't like about this book is the sick Triceratops scene that was based off in this book. In the book, it's a sick Stegosaurus instead of a sick Triceratops, so I didn't really like that, but I don't really know why they went with the sick Triceratops instead of the Stegosaurus, but it's still a really special and an extremely important part of the franchise. But yeah, apart from that, I have nothing wrong with this book. It's really good. When I read it, whenever I start reading it, I know I'm gonna have fun. I know I'm gonna be immersed into a bunch of greatness. And they made a bunch of dinosaurs for this island too. Look, listen. Tyrannosaurs, Maiasaurs, I hope I'm saying that right, Stegosaurs, Triceratops, Procompsognathus, Ocnelia, Velociraptors, Apatosaurs, Hadrosaurs, Dilophosaurs, Pterosaurs, Hypsilophodontids, Euplocephalids, Styracosaurs, and Microceratops. Yeah, those are all the dinosaurs that are in this book. And fun fact, Steven Spielberg's original draft for the first movie was going to be heavily based on this book. But they decided to change it because the ending to this story is not a happy one. The Costa Rican Air Force decides to napalm the island. Yeah. And canon-wise, it's really important. And there's something in it, the DX disease. It was first spread on the island through compies. They were mainly bred as sort of a cleanup crew for the island. And this is kind of gross, but it's true. They would eat the bigger dinosaurs' feces, and once they'd been infected with once they'd eaten the stomach contents of an animal with the DX disease, they would have died over time. A lot of them managed to get off the island, but they probably died later on. And they even caused a really gross death where they killed a baby. And no, I didn't make that up. Yeah, they would just go around Costa Rica, getting into all sorts of trouble. Why did you kill a baby? Sorry, I had to. Yeah, apart from the Six Stegosaurs thing, I have nothing wrong with this book. It's a great read. If you haven't read it, I severely suggest you do. Yeah, I'm going to end it here, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Actually, before I go, I want to give a quick shout out to my good friend, The Dinosaur Discovery. He does a lot of what I do on my channel, even though he has a lot more subscribers. He's at 90. He's close to 100, so all of you watching, do me a favor and go subscribe to him. The link will probably be in the description. Yeah, he's a really nice guy. He's a really great YouTuber. Help him get to 100 subscribers because he really deserves it. And tell a bunch of people about me. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see all of you guys next time. Bye-bye.